Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I want to quickly talk about the basics of a bite alarm. So if you're new to carp fishing and you're thinking about buying yourself a bite alarm, in this video I'm going to attempt to explain what is a bite alarm, how does it work, and why would you want to use one when fishing. So first of all, let's just talk about why would you use a bite alarm. So a bite alarm is designed for fishing, for larger fish, maybe on the bottom of a lake, and they tend to be quite powerful. Maybe they take a long time to catch, so you don't really want to be sat there holding the rod for hours on end. The bite alarm will allow you to set everything up and then be patient and wait for a bite, and at the same time you can walk around, you can move, and you haven't got to be constantly monitoring the rod because this is doing the job for you. So carp fishing, large fish fishing, not always, but it's very useful to have a bite alarm to help you when you're fishing. They're also great for night fishing. If you want to go to sleep, you can't watch the rod, this will do the job for you and then let you know when you get a bite. Okay, so let's go through the basics of a bite alarm, the functions, and just generally how it works. So the bite alarm is a device that detects movement on the line. So when a fish takes the bait, the line will move and this device detects it and tells you that there's movement so that you can then strike and play the fish. So that's the basic function of the bite alarm. So if we just take a look at the bite alarm itself, this one for example, pretty standard. There's a thread on the bottom here with an O-ring, a rubber ring, and that allows you to connect it to a bank stick, a rod pod, or a buzz bar. And then the O-ring just allows you to get a nice snug fit, and then you can turn it sort of straight towards you. So you've got that little bit of leeway with the squeeze of the O-ring, so you don't sort of get stuck here. You can squeeze it so that it's facing forward. You want it to be like in line with the rod like this. You don't want the bite alarm sort of like that and you're trying to put the rod on here. You want everything nice and in line and square, so the line can run directly through this roller here. So there's a thread on the bottom. There's then a speaker of some sort here, which the sound comes out of, the beeping sound. It should have an on and off button, and then you've got different features such as volume. You can adjust the volume. I'll show you that in a moment on one of my other bite alarms. And some of them have a night mode, so you have a light on at night so you can see the bite alarm. You can turn it on to silent in case you want to fish and just use the light. There's different tones and sensitivities. For example, if you're using two bite alarms, you might want to put one tone on one and another tone on the other so that they've got different tones and you can distinguish where the bite's coming from. So here with this bite alarm, we can turn it on. It will beep to tell me that it's on and flash. Then we can change the tone. And then we can change the volume. Anyway, moving up, we've got, this is a roller here. There are different ways that bite alarms detect movement on the line, magnetically, different types of sensors, but they all pretty much do the same thing. Some kind of device here where the line lays into, and when the line moves, it will detect that movement and then a beep will come through here. This bite alarm just has the one light on it, so when you get a bite, when the line is pulled through the sensor, the light will flash. And then you have a latching light here which will continue to flash for so many seconds, so that when you're not near the rod you can look back at the rods and know that this was the one that had the action. And then at the top you'll have a sort of U shape where the rod sits, and you might have some buzz bars, some snag ears on here to stop the rod coming off. So let's take a look at my other bite alarm. This one has a cover on it, protective cover, so when you're carrying it around in your bag it doesn't get damaged. Again, we have a thread at the bottom. I've connected like a quick release mechanism here to put this into my buzz bar without screwing it every time. It just clicks in. That's not necessary, but there's a thread on the end here. Again, you have a speaker. A lot of bite alarms claim to be waterproof, so look out for that, because a lot of bite alarms when you're fishing in the rain can die. So try to buy one that resists that, and if you only want to use a cheaper one, sort of like this one, try to maybe use it in light showers and during drier periods, because if a bite alarm is sat in the rain all day, no bite alarm really likes that, so just watch out for that. So this one has sort of rubberized buttons here, so you can turn it on. The bite alarm is now on. This light here is for night mode, so I can turn that off like so. So at night you can see where your bite alarms are in the dark. Not a necessary feature, they don't all have that one. But anyway, when the bite alarm is on, you have buttons, as I say, for volume and sensitivity and tone, things like that. But the basics are just turning it on and adjusting the volume so you can hear it. So I can adjust the volume, silent, quiet, sort of quiet and general. And then I'm just going to demonstrate with this piece of paper. Imagine this is the line. When the line is sat on here at night, a fish pulls that line, the bite alarm will sound. If you get a run, it will sort of continuously beep. Some bite alarms have a light which tells you about drop back. So you've got a latching light which will stay on for a certain amount of time, so that if you weren't looking at the rod, you can see which rod the bite was on. And then there'll be a secondary light that will just beep to just come on to tell you that it's in motion. So it will flash. You see that flash there? And then some bite alarms have another light which will tell you if you get drop back, which is a forward run. When the fish pulls on the line, it's like this, but sometimes the fish will drop the bait back. It will drop it and then the line will fall backwards and go slack, so it will go the other way, and then you can know if the bait's been dropped. But for this video we'll just focus on the basics. So when the line gets pulled through the roller, the alarm beeps. So that is about it. There's a lot of features on some bite alarms, but if you're just getting into fishing, you basically just want to get, let's say, the best bite alarm you can afford, one that is well made. Don't maybe go for the cheapest bite alarm on the market, and also look out for what batteries they take, because some of the batteries can be expensive. This one takes AAA batteries, which are readily available, easy to get hold of, and they last quite long too. But other bite alarms have those big square batteries that can be more expensive, or little unusual batteries. So just check what batteries it takes, because some batteries are easier to get hold of than others, and some batteries are cheaper too. But that is basically it. You screw it onto a bank stick or a buzz bar or a rod pod, put the bite alarm nice and forward facing and square with the rod, lay it on here, turn it on, adjust the volume, and use your bobbin to put some tension at the front here on the line so that there's contact with the roller inside. Then when you get a bite, the alarm will sound and you can lift up the rod. So that is pretty much it for bite alarm basics. Also, some bite alarms come with a receiver which allows you to walk away from your rods. It's a little bit like a walkie-talkie. It's wireless, and the bite alarm will send a message to the receiver telling it that you've got a bite, and then you can rush back to your rods. This is not a necessary thing you need when carp fishing in general. It's an added option in my opinion, not required, but if you see sets of bite alarms with receivers, that's what they're for. if you want to do carp fishing and fish with bite alarms, you don't need a receiver, so you can just get away with having standard bite alarms. Okay, so here I've got my buzz bar set up just in the vise of my workbench just to demonstrate. So when attaching the bite alarm, you can attach it directly to the bank stick here with this thread here which the buzz bar is connected to. So you use the thread of the bottom of the bite alarm and just screw that directly in, and they have an O-ring, what's called an O-ring on here, which is rubber, and that will squeeze down on the thread to make a nice secure fixing. What I've got here on this buzz bar, so you can have just one bite alarm screwed into the bank stick if you're using one, but I've got the buzz bar which allows me to fish with two. You can get buzz bars that have three, or a rod pod, but they're all the same thing essentially. They're just there to hold the bite alarm in position, and the threads are all the same. So the thread of this is the same as the thread of the bite alarm. What I've got on mine is just quick release devices here that screw in, and then it allows you to just clip a bite alarm in. So these aren't necessary, but for example I can just put this one here, tighten it up, and it's ready to go. Just a time saving feature. So once the bite alarm is in, it will need to be in a position like this where it's facing the angler, nice and square on. So you don't want it sort of at an angle, you want it nice and square, in line with the rod, perfectly in line, so that when the line runs it can pull freely forward and backwards and there's no twisting here. So that is attached, and you use the bite alarm in conjunction with a bobbin. So the bobbin, it has a ring on it that sits in between the thread here. So you put this over, and then through the hole you add the bite alarm through it. This bobbin has a little sort of peg at the end of it here that just pinches on the line. So all the bobbin is really doing is it's an indicator, visual indicator, so you can see what's going on. But it pulls the line down, puts a bit of pressure on the line, so that when the fish pulls the line, there's some nice tension here which will pull the line over that sensor, the little roller. You can imagine if the bobbin wasn't on, the line could be all slack, and then the line wouldn't really go into that groove nice and snug and pull on the wheel. So it does that, and you can add different types of weight to these. So if it's a very windy day, you can weigh this down to anchor it, or if you're fishing in shallow water and you don't want to spook the fish, you can make this very light so that there's no resistance. But that's for another video. And when using the bite alarm on a rod pod or a bank stick when you're carp fishing, you need to be using one of these rod clips here. This goes at the back end, so perfectly in line with the front end, but what this does is it allows you to push the handle of your rod into here and hold it firm and just keep everything nice and tight and in position. If you don't have one of these, your rod could fly off the rod pod or the buzz bar or the bank stick. Okay, so that is about it for bite alarm basics. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please remember to like the video and also consider subscribing for more fishing related videos. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.